Time is now 7:05, and I'll call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Beloit City Council. We're here at 100 State Street in Beloit, Wisconsin in the City Hall Forum, and today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2015. Can I have a roll call?
Roll call shows all councilors present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. We have none this evening. Item 4 is public hearings. We have none this evening. And that brings us to item 5, citizens' participation. We've reached the point in the meeting for members of the public to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. The council will not act on any requests this evening unless the item you are speaking about is already on our agenda, but we may act on requests at a future meeting, or we may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and avoid making personal attacks. I do have a sheet from Dorothy Harrell, if you'd approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Dorothy Harrell. I reside at 2284 Boulder Court in the city of Beloit.
Go ahead and
The
address
first
the
issue
council.
I wanted to address is to say thank you, because I've read since I decided to come here that you will have a listening session on Thursday around the search for a new city manager. I also want to say that in light of the fact that so much violence did occur on yesterday on the King holiday, I think that will inform some of my good discussions at that listening session as far as what we should be looking for as we think about governing this city. The second topic that I wanted to cover was the truancy issue. We were here months ago talking about truancy and talking about a combined meeting between the school district and the city council. To my knowledge, that has not occurred. I do appreciate the fact that the fines have been reduced, but we still have the criminalization of juvenile behavior. I don't think that what has happened gets at the crux of the problem. Dr. Tom Johnson did convene a meeting on December 19th. Mr. Spritzer, you were there. Mr. Arf was there. I'm not sure what other city officials were there. There was some discussion that took place there around why some people felt that truancy continues to exist and some things that we could do, but we haven't had the opportunity to brainstorm together. And I was hoping that at some future point, not too far in the future, and hopefully within the next 6 weeks, that we could have that combined meeting and start the dialogue that I feel is necessary for us to go forward as we talk about great public education for our students and good schools in Beloit. I think the discussion has to be had. We have to look at what's causing truancy within the city and how we as a community can address and eradicate that as a problem for schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Could the city manager provide any update on efforts to schedule that meeting?
Well, there were several efforts to schedule a joint meeting. At the time, the school district was not inclined to do that. They were busy with a number of other issues, and subsequently, Dr. Johnson was assigned the task to investigate, to reconfirm the truancy program that the district had in place, and he had a meeting just a few weeks ago, which you and I were at. And a number of community leaders were there, and they did talk about the program, what to try to do, and obviously the importance of keeping these children in school simply cannot be overstated. It lies at the core of many of our community problems, keeping children in school and off the streets, getting them involved in education and other interesting positive activities that the schools have available is just hugely important. So we're very, very concerned about it. The school district has their program in place. Again, they've been revamping some of the stuff they do, and we're trying not to criminalize the behavior, but there are some recalcitrant cases where there is nothing else that the district can do, and there are some cases where children are being intentionally held out of school, and so there are certain instances where they are asking for assistance from the city in terms of issuing citations and asking for the municipal court to help. But for the most part, they're trying to deal with it in a positive way through the school hierarchy and not involve the police department.
To the extent that the police department is still involved, can we see about reaching out again about scheduling a meeting that would have more opportunity for public attendance and participation to follow
I'll
up on
ask
that
again.
topic?
We asked several times, and the district was busy, and the superintendent's office declined their invitation. So I will check again.
Thank you. Councilor DeForest?
Thank you. I was also going to ask along those lines, since the meeting that was held, I wasn't invited to. I don't know who was invited or who knew about it, but would like to have a public meeting where people who are concerned could be part of the solution. So I appreciate you asking for that follow-up. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak this evening during citizens' participation? If so, please approach the podium now. Second call for anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' participation. Third and final call for anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' participation. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6, the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Is there any councilor wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through C. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by DeForest, second by Lupke. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. Item 7 is ordinances. We have none, which brings us to item 8, appointments. I, the undersigned Mark Spreitzer, duly elected President of the Beloit City Council, subject to confirmation by the Beloit City Council, hereby appoint the following citizen members to the vacancies and terms indicated as follows, said appointments being pursuant to nominations made and approved by the Appointment Review Committee at the regular meeting held January 12, 2015. To the Appointment Review Committee, incumbent Brandon Beavers Jackson for a term ending December 31st, 2017. To the Traffic Review Committee, Carol Fryer, 2057 Granite Court, replacing Dennis Walsh, for a term ending September 30th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve these appointments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Haynes, second by Kelly. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. I'd like to announce the following vacancies and encourage any interested residents to get more information and apply to serve on one of these committees. They're a great way to get involved and serve the community. On the Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee, we have one vacancy for a resident. The Appointment Review Committee has one vacancy for a resident. The Board of Appeals has one vacancy as a second alternate for a resident. Board of Ethics has one vacancy for a former city councilor and 3 vacancies for residents. Board of Review, 1 vacancy for residents and 2 alternate vacancies for residents. Community Development Authority has both a vacancy for a public housing resident and 1 vacancy for a resident. Equal Opportunities Commission, 2 vacancies for residents. Municipal Golf Committee, 1 vacancy for resident. Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Advisory Commission, 1 vacancy for resident and 1 vacancy for a youth representative. And the Traffic Review Committee has 2 vacancies for residents. So as you can see, there are a lot of opportunities to get involved, and if you're not already serving on a committee, I hope you'll consider it. Item 9 is councilor activities and upcoming events. Councilor Lupke.
Yesterday at Eaton Chapel, myself and several other counselors were in attendance, and there was a good turnout to hear Regina Hendricks, one of our counselors, who gave a very relevant, upbeat, and positive message to our youth and to the citizens that were there. So I just want to commend her for a job well done and a message well given and well received. Thank you, Regina.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I would like to extend my condolences to the Hurd, Baskin, and Gammons families for their loss yesterday. And I would like to read a statement which I have thought long and hard about. In light of the continued violence which has plagued our city, I am imploring all of us to not just settle for status quo. Business as usual is not working. We can't throw the same old strategies at this problem and think it's going to quietly go away. We need some creative, community-based policing. We need strong two-way communication between the city and our residents to garner their help. I appreciate the efforts to establish a teen center, but we also need effective intervention programming for our most at-risk teens and young adults. I am grateful for those like Pastor Kenda Roman and Regina Hendricks and Katie Smullen who stepped up to provide more presence in our streets and neighborhoods, but we need more. Please, let's pull together a commission, a group of concerned people to develop a coordinated, comprehensive approach for positive intervention, more community presence, and more anti-gun violence strategies. Thank you.
Counselor Kincaid.
I too went to the event yesterday at Eaton Chapel, and it was like no other memorial service that I went to. And I thank Regina for what she contributed to that.
Counselor Hendricks.
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone for their support yesterday. There was a great turnout, a lot of young people there. Unfortunately, something happened right before, it started, but it was good to see so many young people, young faces there listening to a message, and hopefully they got something from it and took something, and the adults even, the charge to do more. So thank you, Sheila, for that. There were also 2 more MLK events this weekend that I attended on Sunday. There was an MLK celebration at New Zion Baptist Church, and that was uplifting. There were so many young voices singing and celebrating his life and legacy. And then Monday morning, there was a peaceful march just down Shore Drive, followed by a program where 2 young males, one former Beloit student and teacher, spoke, and then the current senior class president, Caleb Pullum, spoke, and they had so many insightful words. So it was good to see that, and hopefully we can get more people out to hear those things and ingest those words and do more with their talents. So that's my hope, and hopefully we can work together. I'm on board with you. Thank you.
Counselor Kelly.
Oh, I have nothing to report.
Vice President Haynes.
Neither do I.
Well, I also attended the convocation, and Counselor Hendricks really did a fabulous job. It can't be said enough. It was certainly the most memorable speech at those convocations that I have seen, and a real call to action. And so really appreciate your words and your singing. And so it was a joy to be there. I also had a chance to attend a MLK luncheon earlier in the day, hosted by the State Line Boys and Girls Club and the YWCA at Domenico's, and that was also a great event. Brought together a lot of people, and I do want to echo the comments of a couple of other counselors that in light of the additional violence that we suffered yesterday, we really need to continue to look for creative ways to come together as a community and tackle this challenge. And anybody who has ideas on that, I hope will bring them forward, because it's going to take everybody putting our heads together to tackle this. But it's unacceptable, and it can't continue. Item 10 is City Manager's presentation. We do have a presentation this evening. City Manager Arft?
Yes, thank you. We do have a presentation this evening. Unfortunately, we got crossed up a bit in terms of getting it listed on the agenda, but it is an informational presentation. We're not presenting anything related to a public policy issue or asking you to take any action. But I'm very happy that Brian Ramsey is here this evening. Coming up this weekend is Winterfest. Lots of fun activities. You've probably been reading about it in the media. He's going to take a few minutes to run through a PowerPoint presentation here, and let me get you back to the start. And bring council and the community up to date on the schedule of events. One of the other things that is scheduled this weekend, of course, is the event at the club, at the Boys and Girls Club, which is kind of a dry run to see how teens would respond to that facility in terms of having a drop-in program there, and also to see how teens would respond in general to the whole concept or idea of doing a drop-in center. Is that something they would be interested in doing or not? So that's also going on Saturday night. We have 2 parties. Well, I'll let Brian get into the details, but we have 2 parties that evening for different age groups. But I do want to invite all the counselors, and we mentioned this upstairs, if you've got a few minutes to stop by, kind of walk around, interact with some of the kids, you're certainly welcome to join us on on Saturday evening at the Boys and Girls Club. With that, Brian, would you please proceed with your presentation?
Sure. Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Earlier today, the staff and I were talking about our plans for Winterfest this year, and we were trying to think back how many years Winterfest has been going on, and nobody actually knew the exact number. So it's at least 25 years or more. So it's well precedes all of us on staff. But we're excited to present the activities we have for this year. If I go forward, is that correct?
Right goes forward, left goes back.
I always get backwards. There you go. So talking about Friday night, January 23rd, we start off with free bingo being offered at Grinnell Hall. This is free to all age groups. It takes place from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. as well. We generally get a lot of seniors who come out there, but anybody's welcome to come, and there'll be free refreshments as well. Along with that, in the evening time, we have a activity with a DJ at the ice rink with open skate. That'll be from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Anyone who brings a non-perishable food item and donates that will receive free skate rental for the night. So if you haven't skated or haven't been on skates in a few years, you can't give the excuse now, well, it costs too much to rent skates. They're free if you just bring in a non-perishable item on that night. Saturday, I think I went one too far. Saturday, we kick off on January 24th with activities at the public library. From 10 to noon, the library will be hosting snow crafts and various activities there for youth. That's from 1 to 2 p.m. Excuse me, that's from 10 a.m. to noon. They'll have snacks provided as well. Then from 1 to 2 p.m., we have what's called Come Explore the Natural Confluences of where the Turtle Creek meets the Rock River. That is hosted by the Wealthy Environmental Center in South Beloit. We also will be providing snowshoes, which are new for us to rent out, but you can come out and try those at no cost. We'll make those available, of course. And then also again in the afternoon we'll have open skate activities again from 2 to 4. On that day the regular admission will apply. And of course our biggest activity that we have growing each year is the co-ed adult volleyball tournament that will be held at the high school. Competitive teams can enter for $100. Recreational teams for 50. I think we're up to 17 teams at this time, and we're taking teams all the way up until January 22nd, I believe. You can call 364-2890 to confirm your team in the league. We'd like to get up to at least 24 teams or more. Last year, I think we had 22, so we're looking to get a few more teams. So if you're out there and want to play some volleyball or just have fun, it's a great activity to be involved in. Then going on to Sunday, some of the highlights for that day.
Yeah, just go forward one at a time.
Maybe I move too fast is my problem. There we go. Some of the activities we have planned for Sunday is we have a horse-drawn sleigh rides out at Big Hill Park. Will be hosted at the Girl Scout facility there. That'll be from 11 a.m. to 2. The Wealthy Center will also be providing activities indoors in regards to how to track birds and prey and such things. All these activities are free, of course. I know our biggest concern is will we have enough snow. It's good. It's actually good to say that we're expecting snow tonight because we like to have a little bit more. However, it might not be enough. When we don't have enough snow for the sleigh rides, they do bring out a horse-drawn wagon instead, so that will be available. We encourage people to arrive ahead of time, as we generally have a long wait for that. So get out there in advance. Make sure you come out. It's a great activity. The weather's going to be ideal. We're just hoping for maybe a little bit of fresh snow tonight. Open skate, again, will be offered at the Edwards Ice Arena on Sunday from 2 to 4. And then snowshoeing will be at Kruger Haskell Golf Course from noon to 2. And then the euchre tournament will be held at the clubhouse, starting at 12:45. I think they start at 1, but if you've pre-registered, you need to be there at 12:45. We do ask that you pre-register again by January 22nd. And again, throughout the weekend, Hospital Hill, the sledding hill will be open, available for sledders. We encourage people to go out and try the cross-country ski trails, both at Big Hill Park and along the Turtle Creek trails that we have. We just have a lot of planned activities. If you have any questions, please call Leisure Services, speak with them. You can reach them at 364-289-9990. The one item I do want to go back and touch base on was the activity that's called Party at the Club, which we are hosting in conjunction with the State Line Boys and Girls Club. This is a free event. When we talk about the needs and concerns for addressing safe, clean, and healthy activities for our youth and our students, this is one of those items that came out of the task force committee. We will be offering a party at 5 to 7 p.m. for 7th and 8th graders. We'll be hosting another one from 8 to 10:30 p.m. for the high schoolers. There will be a DJ. There will be refreshments. We have a lot of donated prizes that have been given to us from Subway and Diamond Lanes and Taco John's. Family Video, just to name a few. So I think altogether there's probably over 35 prizes at each event. So, if we get a good crowd, or if we get a small crowd, there's going to be a lot of kids going all the way, I think, with a smile on their faces like, look what I want, and we hope that's the case. Besides that, we hope they have a lot of fun with some of the other activities besides the normal activities that the Boys and Girls Club provide in terms of foosball and pool and ping pong, and they have a lot of Xbox games, and they're opening a new teen activity area there. We also are bringing in some special events, including what's called knocker balls. They're the clear plastic balls that are about a 6-foot diameter ball, which you can crawl inside, and you can bump into somebody else that is wearing one too, and nobody will get hurt. It's a safe type play. They're very popular right now. To get a whole set of them and play soccer. So we're going to get 2 of them and show kids how much fun they can be and just knock around a little bit, thus the name. The other thing that we have is we have the pitching machine that the snappers have loaned out to us. We have an inflatable climbing wall. It's 25 feet tall, so if the kids have ever wanted to go to a carnival or something, said, I wanted to do the climbing wall, but found it cost too much to do. This is all free, of course. So come out, get in line ahead of time. You can go up and down as many times as you want. Last but not least, we have what's called the NEOS Play Unit, which will be out there. It's a game that's a playground piece of feature that Playworld Systems has built. It's actually a wall unit they're going to bring out at no charge to us, which is wonderful. And it's a interactive game for kids with panels and buttons that light up and they push and they play against one another, and they have a lot of fun with that. I've played it myself, and at my age it wears me out, but I'm sure these kids will have a lot of fun and they'll want to play just not once but twice, 3 times, 4 times. Again, just a lot of activities planned. We like to thank the Boys and Girls Club for their participation and their help, and we're just ecstatic about this event. So we're doing a lot of fun things for kids. We still need adult volunteers. So if there's anybody out there who would like to volunteer, again, call Leisure Services at 364-289-90. We'd be happy to add you to the list. And Sean, I'm hoping you'll come out and take pictures. So, any questions anybody might have? Great. Well, thank you very, 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 very much.
Thank you. While we're on the topic of city manager's presentation, I also thought this would be an appropriate time to remind the public that this Thursday at 6:30 at the library, we have a public opportunity to provide feedback on the city manager search process, and hope that anybody who wants to provide feedback on what we need in our next city manager will attend that meeting. Again, that's 6:30 p.m. this Thursday at the library. Councilor DeForest?
I just real quickly wanted to thank Brian and your staff, City Manager Arft, and all of the task force committee members for pulling this event together. I think it'll be a great party at the club, so thank you. I know Regina's on that committee, and yeah, so thank you so much for all the people that have come together to help make that possible. It's wonderful.
Item 11 is reports from boards and city officers. 11A.
A resolution approving 2 contracts between the City of Beloit and the Dane County Humane Society, Inc.
Captain Tyler.
Good evening. What you have before you tonight is 2 contracts that are basically extensions from our 2014 agreement with Dane County Humane Society. These are extensions through June of 2015, which allow us to continue to access those resources from the department as necessary and appropriate for abandoned, abused, neglected, seized animals of the domestic and non-domestic type. And this is simply an extension until June of 2015. So the contract is essentially the same, just with that extension, a slight fee increase, but well within the confines of our budget for that services if it's needed. We've reviewed the contracts, reviewed the changes, and we recommend approval of the 2 contracts, and then we'll bring forth subsequent matters to you for approval prior to June of 2015.
Thank you. Are there questions on this topic? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I know it's already been shared, but I just would like to encourage you as much as possible to collaborate with the other municipalities in the county as we continue to struggle with what to do with our stray animals. So I would just encourage any reaching out to Janesville and also the smaller municipalities to see how we can address this problem together. If we share resources, I think we might be in a better position. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Are there other questions, or is there a motion to approve?
Move approval. Second.
Moved by Haynes, second by Kincaid. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11B.
A resolution declaring doubtful accounts, authorizing amounts to be written off, and receiving and filing the 2014 report of the comptroller.
Mr. Miller.
Good evening. During the year, we review all accounts receivable and outstanding loan balances to determine which ones remain active and which ones have maybe fallen into a delinquent status. And at that point, we determine what efforts were made and if any of the efforts are still able to be collected or if they've all been officially exhausted. And at the end of 2014, out of a total of 284 outstanding accounts, 3 of them were deemed to be uncollectible in the total amount of $42,300. All 3 of the properties related to the outstanding loans were sold at a sheriff's foreclosure sale, and personal bankruptcies have all been declared also. All 3 of these loans were made through the City of Beloit Rehabilitation Loan Program, funded through CDBG and home loan funds. So at this point, they've all been legally declared uncollectible, and I'm asking for authorization to write those loans off.
Thank you. Are there questions, or is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Moved by Haynes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by DeForest. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. Item 11C.
A resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $1,265,000 worth of storm sewer system revenue refunding bonds, Series 2015A of the City of Beloit, Rock County, Wisconsin, and providing for the payment of the bonds and other details with respect to the bonds.
Mr. Miller.
Periodically throughout the year, our financial advisor looks at all of our outstanding debt issues, and compares the existing rates with the current rate structure that's in the marketplace. And they just do that to see if there's any potential savings out there that we might be able to incur. And so they have brought forward an opportunity to refund the existing 2010 stormwater revenue bond. And at this point, I would just like to introduce Dawn Gunderson from Ellers and Associates, who is our financial advisor, and she can walk you through the details of the proposed refunding.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
You have before you, as referred to by the clerk, the resolution establishing parameters for this refunding. This is an issue that was initially undertaken back in 2010 to finance storm sewer utility projects, and it was the program it was financed under, in addition to being the revenue pledge from the utility, was a taxable Build America bond. It was a federal government program where public purpose projects were financed with taxable debt rather than tax exempt debt, and the federal government rebated 35% of the interest, bringing that interest to a much lower level. During the sequestration by the federal government in 2013, the subsidy, 35% rebate subsidy, was reduced. It's been reduced a second time. It's down about 8% lower than originally established. And back in 2013, the city notified the bondholders that due to the extraordinary call provision, that with the reduction in the rebate, you were able to call these bonds on a current basis. Back in 2013, we attempted to refinance them with intentions of having a break-even savings. Interest rates moved away. We had come forward with a competitive sale and rejected the bid that we received on the sale. So in light of the declining interest rates we've seen over the last 12 months, this opportunity has come forth again. We are recommending this issue is slightly different than we normally do. It would be a negotiated sale with Baird, who was the bidder on the bonds back in 2013. We've gotten some preliminary interest rates from them and feel that we can meet the savings target at this time. This resolution will set forward the parameters, and if those parameters are all met, one being the break-even savings, establishing a max bid, a minimum bid, and targeted interest rate. If those parameters are met, then the documents to proceed with the finalization of the sale can be executed by signatures of the village manager or the city manager and the finance and administrative director. That is a little bit different than the practice in the past. Usually we would have a competitive sale come back to another regular meeting and you would execute an additional document. But the approval of this resolution will establish the parameters and also authorize the execution of the documents if and only if those all of the parameters are met. So the projections at this particular point is that in better than a break even, we would look at rates probably providing for about a future savings of about $68,000, which is we believe is positive. It's about 3.3% savings target, but the parameters establish it as a break even. The document was provided to you, a pre-sale report. I certainly will answer any questions if there's specifics on the detail. We would ask that you consider a roll call vote as you consider and approve this resolution.
Thank you. Councilor DeForest?
Thank you. I do have a question.
Certainly.
Thank you, Ms. Gunderson. Could you explain to the public why it's in our best interest to negotiate this particular bond instead of using our past typical practice of doing competitive bidding?
Yes. Generally, a general obligation is we call it a generic, normal type of processing, and there's usually a lot of interest. With revenue bonds, you don't see as much participation from underwriters. When we took this to the market the last time, Baird was the only bidder we received on the issue. So as a result of that, we think that they're a good placement to start with. We had worked and tried to negotiate with them in the past. They do have a large presence in Wisconsin for investors, so In light of the fact that we're looking at a specific target, we can monitor the market and undertake this at any time and not wait for it to be a specific meeting. The last time we went through this process, in the 30 days from the time you set it and we sold, the interest rates moved and we lost our ability to save by doing these parameters. If we've established that we would probably lock in on the 11th of February, we would hold a rating conference with the rating agencies between now and then. If on that date we aren't quite there, we can delay it a day, we can delay it 2 days, we can adjust the timing based upon that. We could actually jump on it a little ahead of time if we thought it was moving and not try to come back with specific meeting dates.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Lupke.
Don, the bottom line is for the taxpayers of Beloit, by going after these lower interest rates or rate, we'll save perhaps $68,000.
In future savings. And the other benefit of refinancing this is that it will no longer be under the federal government program. So if, and this issue goes out until 2030, so if that future rebate were to continue to reduce, you no longer run that risk of having that situation take place.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions on this item, or is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Lupke, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Haynes. Any further discussion? If not, can we have a roll call vote on this?
Counselor DeForest. Aye. Counselor Hendricks.
Aye.
Counselor Haynes.
Aye.
Counselor Spreitzer.
Aye.
Counselor Kelly.
Aye.
Counselor Kincaid. Counselor Lupke.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 11D.
A resolution adopting a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Beloit and the International Association of Firefighters, local union number 583, AFL-CIO.
Chief Liggett.
Good evening, City Council, City Manager Arft. Citizens, present to you this evening the result of a year and a half of bargaining with Local 583. The bargaining team put together a tentative agreement which was voted on by Local 583 December 26th of 14. It includes the wage increase of 2% in 2014, 0% in 2015, 1% in 2016 and 17. This is below average of comparable cities in the state and settlements that have passed through those other municipalities. The council was informed that we were initiating some changes in health insurance in the bargaining. We were not able to secure those changes as a result of the buyback that the local was looking for in exchange for those changes in the health insurance program. Minor language changes in how acting lieutenants are used as captains and also trading with captains. And then also paramedics that perform preceptor duties, which are training new paramedics and students from paramedic programs from Mercy Hospital. When they perform those duties in the following year, they are allotted one extra calendar day off to take in their compensation time. We also have a memorandum of understanding on a reopener in the 2016 and 17 calendar years, providing that the local can show that there has been a positive economic change in the conditions for the city. If you don't have any other questions, approval of this resolution would support the enactment of this labor agreement.
Are there any questions on this item? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. The one compensation day that preceptors gain, will they still have to use the existing vacation bidding procedures to make sure? I just want to make sure we're not affecting minimum manning with that
Yes.
benefit. Okay. And I believe you've answered all my other questions earlier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Kincaid, second by Haynes. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 12 is adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Hendricks, is there a second?
Second.
Second by DeForest. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned at 7:45.
Regina, I didn't know you sang.
I do.
Ooh.